everyone. So we do hopefully have Rifkin back for good. Still to be tested. We are getting into the semifinals. The first one is going to be Rogue versus Ryung, TvZ, and the other semifinals is going to be Cure versus Myengsik, TVP. Myengsik able to defeat Billowy, another match we did not get to see.
Yeah, so we'll find out as we hop in a game whether I'm gonna have issues or not. I'm hoping I don't. So reinstalled the graphics driver, but for some reason that caused the Battle.net launcher to be impossible to launch. So, hey, best fives, right?
Correct.
All right, I'm ready to rock and roll. So let's kick off these intros. In the lower right, we got the blue Terran player, Ryung.
In the top left, as the red Zerg, it is Rogue, fresh off an IEM victory.
Oh yeah, I missed like 100% of IEM, so
Yeah.
nice.
I didn't manage to catch any of the last day, which is too bad, but I caught a majority of Saturday, which was still cool. Actually, I kind of fell asleep towards the end of Saturday, but point is I still caught games. But apparently Rogue won. Hero went into kind of Tilt City after the first game, and Rogue was able to take his first championship, and now he's playing in an online cup, not just 2 days later. Shanghai is not that far away for Korea, so it's not that bad.
I was gonna say most of the history is right. You win a championship like DreamHack, and then you lose the Corsair Cup the following Monday. Like this does not bode well for Rogue today.
Something like that, yeah. But Rogue, okay, so let's consider that isn't going to be the case, that there's no curse to the online cup directly after a win. Rogue has been doing really well. He was doing well. He was showing that he's like, he might be kind of a lurker in terms of participation and his GSL, SSL, performances and all that. He was starting to show his skill as a beast in the online cups. So that was able to show itself at IEM, and now everyone's confirmed okay, Rogue's a beast. But before even that, he was really having some good TvZs. So I'm really quite worried for Ryung. He's gonna have a tough time.
Yeah, Ryung actually, I think just generally speaking, regardless of the prowess of a recent victory, would still have trouble in this matchup. There's a small handful of the Korean Zerg that seem to have a good handle on things right now. Rogue is one of them for sure. On top of that, of the others like Dark and Buell, although I'll be honest, I don't know what's going on with Buell, man. I feel really bad for him. He's just constantly sick nowadays.
Yeah, what's weird though is I wonder if this is oh mom, I'm really sick from school. I don't think it is, but I saw his name on the Brood War global charts. So I don't know if someone's using his name. He's playing casually and is still really good, or he's actually thinking about doing some hardcore Brood War.
I gotta imagine for all those guys, they all are gonna be playing it, and it's just for some, it's oh, turns out I'm still good at this game. For others, maybe not the case.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine that he's participating in SSL and doing really, because this is he's number 6 on the global ladder. I don't think he can be that good playing both games. So I'm gonna say that it's not him. Someone just took his name or had a similar name or whatever. But it was funny, and it's a cool feature, the StarCraft Remastered, which of course became available to some people earlier than others, but now almost everyone who pre-purchased it is finally getting their emails to add it onto the Battle.net. So maybe you guys can play it soon too. Hey.
No, it's going to be a 14-day wait, very much on purpose. Entirely, actually, because of Borsty. It'll be everyone except Borsty will get access to the game.
I like how that ended. Yeah, Borsty having some discussions about early access for the community streamers and all that. But anyways, people are now getting their access to it. So I've seen a lot of people tweeting about downloading it.
By the way, quick shouts to Ryung. Guy just chucked in $5 for mystery bags and gave everyone 2. One does not simply let Rifkin cast the Olimoleague, he says. You son of a bitch.
Yeah. We talked a lot about, I guess, not the build orders. So real quick, Ryung is going for what looks to be Banshee after Viking, still with the sim for the bio, no mech here. And Rogue has gone for Banelings and Lings, nothing surprising there either. Oh, armory. Okay. A bit of a Hellbat push. Not with Marines, though. Just with the backup Raven. Not Banshee. Just kidding. Raven. Is there any way for you to turn up your mic on Discord?
There is.
Okay, I need to boost that.
But before I do that, do you want to right-click on my name and turn me up yourself?
Okay, let's try that.
It's because I have this at a setting for everything else I do, and I don't want everyone else.
Ooh, fancy.
Super duper loud. Okay, so is this any better?
It sounds.
I mean, I could.
It sounds a little. Really, it sounds better, yeah.
Okay,
should be good.
I say I'm only at like 50% on my mixer. I could jack my volume up. I just don't want to.
Yeah, it should be fine. Figure out about the right click option. I checked the settings, but the right click is, well, not in the settings. So that's cool, Discord. Anyway, it should be better now. The Overseer gets in, sees kind of the usual, I guess. Like barracks being added, no, factories being added, sorry. So not stim. Good thing it double checked, because that stim was faked out. The cloak was faked out. I mean, Ryung was actually a lot of fake outs. Damn, now I'm getting that echo.
Okay, let me turn my volume down. Hopefully that's better.
Does this make any sense? Ring headsets? God.
I guess the Corsair Voids are just so good and powerful. They bring that extra sound that you just need when gaming with the surround sound. In fact, it's so good it goes outside the headset.
I'm loving the twists. I'm gonna leave it at that. There is going to be mech from Ryung. So big change up. He definitely was faking out Rogue, but Rogue with the constant scouting, good on him because that was really important. He would have been faked out. So he was on his way to Hydras. Lings and Balins aren't terrible to have because mech players are going to start off with Hellbats, but you do want to transition into something beefier like Roaches or maybe Swarm Hosts. Organization Pit is on the way.
So we got some folks in chat asking about what the achievement is for the Olimoleague. If you guys don't know, we already talked about this, but I'll bring it up probably a couple times during the cast today. If you log in today, StarCraft 2, you got until the 4th. You'll receive a 3-year anniversary for the Olimoleague achievement, and it unlocks a spray your workers can use to place on the ground anywhere they want in the game.
Mm-hmm. You don't see it too often used, but occasionally in like pro games, little like spritz pop up somewhere.
Nate does it. Nate's like the only one who does it.
Yeah, it's what just people were really excited about, like BMing spraying. Like no one remembers to do it.
So. Going back to the situation at hand here, by the way, I do love watching some mech, and I love mech done right. And I feel like Ryung's one of the guys I actually do believe will pull this off correctly with making sure his Thor is always covered by Blue Flame Hellions. Because he did go for this Blue Flame so early, and I can't imagine it's just to get a couple extra worker kills. I think he knows and understands the necessity of it versus whatever Rogue's going for. Blue Flame Hellions, for those who don't know, also completely destroy Hydralisks.
Yeah, they do.
Bands rolling in.
But that's
purple banlings.
They
controversial skins.
They are so like vibrant when they die, man. Like this is like a huge splash of purple. It's always purple too, like no matter what color it is. So that's like a little weird, but I'll take it.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So the you talk about Blue Flame, that can be very helpful just in general, but also like paired up with a Thor, with the Thors, like in the medevacs, you can actually push a decent bit. But we have Ryung not going for any Thor harassments. He's not pushing forward with this, and is in fact still like going into tanks and waiting for those. His army's in a very weird position, to be honest. Like this is a pretty bad position if Rogue was attacking, but he's keeping tabs on the army. He's got barracks over here in case the army went over there. He's got Hellions running through here, checking on the 5th base, seeing what the composition is. Scans going in the main to see how fast that hive was. It's already done. Vipers are already on the way, and he sees an Ultralisk Cavern, not a Spire. There he is, grouped up together. He's going to push. He has 7 tanks, handful of Thors, and a lot of Hellbats. The 4th base is almost done. This push has already gotten into a decent position. Vipers are ready to go with the Blinding Clouds. They throw them down over tanks they can find. 2 of them still unaffected, but it might have been too little too late. So much of the army had already died by the time Rogue sent those out. Ryung, allowed to get into a good position up against that ledge, was paramount to the push. The fact that he was allowed across Ascension to Ire was probably the biggest mistake Rogue made. He had an army. He certainly was trying to tech up, and this was a good timing for Ryung. But most of all, on top of that, the fact that he got to this good position. GG.
Told you, man. I got faith in Ryung to be one of the guys to pull this off. He did so with style.
Yeah, well, actually, just like he kind of macroed and then he pushed. Rogue didn't really have anything to say aggression-wise, and didn't have anything to say for the defense either. So, an easier game than I expected. Rogue may be thrown off still. Even though he scouted it, maybe he was still thrown off by the mech choice.
Well, find out the next map here in a moment. Going back on this too, the whole Olimoleague unlock thing. If you guys really want to know where it is, you want to use it yourself, you want to take a look at it. If you've got the achievement, which you should, just log in and do all that stuff. Go to your collections tab at the top where augments are. You'd go down to the sprays tab, and you'll see the Olimoleague in there. I think.
It's usually collections. We're getting into Proxima Station again. The old map pool, as this was the July finals. Everyone's in. Everyone's in. I had new sub, Warcroft, for the Prime sub. Thank you very much. If you have that Prime, make sure you're using it. Ideally on us, but on anyone. And Jimmy Jam Jars for the 18-month resub during that game. Sound should be fixed by now. The fact that Discord initially made it really quiet screwed a little thing, few things up, but hopefully it's Gucci, and you're getting into the second game. And it's a best of 5 in the bottom left. As the Blue Zerg down 1, it is Jin Air's Rogue.
And his opponent. Spawning in the top right of Proxima Station, it's Ryung. I'm hoping to see mech again out of him. I think it's a good style to play against Rogue, and I think it's strong, but Proxima... I guess you the last map wasn't really a mech map either, but Proxima's a map too where it's just I don't know. I think a lot of people were happy to be done with this one.
It was a basic map. Definitely overplayed, and I like the new map designs. Proxima's kind of a boring map to look at. Great if you're a macro player, sure, but it's kind of a boring map to look at, and the new ones are prettier and more interesting in their design, too. Proxima definitely felt like just a replacement for Dusk Towers.
I do actually like that Interloper map quite a bit. It's more... Again, I really like the idea of it sort of being the new terraform and remastered, if you will, in the theme of StarCraft, right? I wouldn't mind if, again, more maps were like that, but that's, for Blizzard and the map makers to figure out. So... Anyways, getting back into this one, the reason I like the idea of Ryung playing mech again is just, I think players like Rogue, you play somebody like Innovation, you play somebody like Buell, you play somebody like Gumiho, right? And he's been able to kill all of them. We've seen it before in the past too. They're all likely to play Bio. They're unlikely to play mech. I don't know how that translates to ladder, because honestly, we don't see enough of these guys ladder. I guess, no, the exception is Beyond does stream a lot. But the point I'm trying to make here is, it's Bio over mech most of the time. Practice against Bio, 100%. Practice against mech, once in a while, right? So it's one of those things where I just think the style is going to be better against somebody like Rogue. Catch him off guard maybe a little bit better.
It certainly seemed to, again, not a surprise. He scouted it, but it just seemed like he was getting all his ducks in a row, except for the whole, stall out the push thing. You know, that's a pretty important thing to do against mech. So in some way, it looked like he was thrown off. Certainly he plays against Gumiho, and Gumiho is enough, does enough mech that Rogue is not totally unaware it's a possibility, and unaware that it can be very good. But just something about that last game threw him off. Drone sniped with this Reaper. And it manages to get the scout to the third base. Don't usually have that happen on Proxima. But confirmed macro game. The Reaper could probably even get out. Like, this Queen isn't enough DPS to take care of it. And there's no speed on the way. Rogue skipping gas for quite a long time because honestly you can. It's Proxima Station and Reapers are almost never going to be a true threat. And with the single choke defending 3 bases, Hellions can be dealt with just having Queens on the front line. It's actually going to be Marines with a Widow Mine.
Queens are such cool units. They can do everything. Anything.
Yeah, they're pretty good. So Widow Mine drop into what looks to be a tank push. Tank drop push, whatever you want to call it. But this was definitely a build on Proxima. You can get behind the rocks, which Rogue is considering and taking down. And you can also try and just be like kind of clever over here or over here. It's not nearly as threatening to the Zerg player as like King Sejong was. But it can work out.
Let's catch on the Overlord back here. Stripping vision away from somebody like Rogue is going to be very important.
Yeah. So anything grabbing, to grab while you're waiting for the tanks to build up and the medevacs to build up is also just really good. Because this might, look like, oh, it's just the medevac drop full of Marines. Like, that's easy peasy to take care of. But if you didn't see the factory, then this would have been a big surprise. He did see the factory. He saw the tech lab on it. That's too quick to be anything else other than the tank pressure. But, just still. 2 Overlords, denial of further scouting. Could be mech in the future. That type of thing is decent for Ryung. And now he's pushing across the map with a single tank. It does look like he's going to the backside. But this drop is actually going to the main.
Well, the reason I said it's going to strip away that vision, and we're going to see it here too, is like for Rogue, he's doing some good guesswork, and he actually does predict these first couple drops. Oh, that transfuse was nice. But it's going to be really hard to actually see Ryung coming. And the thing is, if Ryung's not playing mech and he is playing bio, he's going to be all over the map. So the less vision Rogue has, the less chance he sees this coming before it's too late. I mean, don't get me wrong, guys. Throughout this whole series, I'm cheering for Ryung 100%. I like Rogue a lot. It's cool to see Gen Air players, and he's a fantastic one at that. But Ryung is like, he's the Olimoleague hero, dude. He's been playing for like longer than almost anybody else in the Olimoleague.
Ryung has been here from the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to see him do well, and I want to see him keep doing these cool moves, subtle little moves, but good ones nonetheless.
Yeah. So the tank not able to do very much in that position, but now paired up with 2 other medevacs, 3 total, and Ryung is going for mech behind this. This is now going to truly threaten this base. Even if the rocks are broken down, the Lings aren't already flooding through here, the Queens aren't already in position. Ryung could do damage, or he could just go to the natural. The point is, he's going to be around a complicated area for Lings to get into. And Rogue does not have any Banelings. He's just going the
this positioning
Baneling recently.
So nice.
It is going to be difficult for just pure Lings to take care of this.
This positioning is so disgustingly good. Hypothetically, they get past the tank fire. They still have to get through this weird Sim City that the Widow Mine and the Marines will protect the tanks with. Queens come into the fray now. These are actually going to be really hard to get through. Widow Mine actually target fires them down instead of the Lings, but look at this, the Marines are just washing the Lings off for the most part. This is such a good trade for Ryung. Even if he loses everything here, he's going to kill so much of the process, and he gets over here with some Hellions too, as if the injury wasn't bad enough.
This was a nice Hellion run by, and it's something that he's going to be able to afford to replace. Hellions easy, fast, quick, only minerals. Not a problem to lose that. Manages to save 2 out of 3 of the medevacs too for the potential Thor drops later.
Look down the bottom right too, those resources lost. That stings. And the Widow Mine gets a pretty... gets a minimal hit, let's be honest. But yo, despite this, he's still transitioning into mech. This opener, you see a couple of tanks like that, it's not enough to signify it's mech. And the problem Rogue's facing right now is his Overseer's just now getting to the main. He's not going to have seen these extra factories until, well, frankly, now.
Exactly, and he does want to check specifically for this, knowing Ryung can be a mech player. So there it is, the 2 factories once again. He had a decent plan last game. He got to Hive, he got to Vipers, he got to a good economy, but he was missing that element of stalling, and Ryung was able to smoothly macro to an almost maxed out army and smoothly push, which is just very, very scary to allow happen. You know, the Swarm hosts have got to buy time, the Roaches run around the map, the Hydras actually force the siege and unsiege. That time has got to be bought for a better position, and this is Proxima Station, so ideally for Rogue, he's stalling out in the middle of the map where the concave can be the worst for Ryung. Because if he doesn't, if he lets Ryung once again get up against these ledges or in these chokes, then he's going to be in trouble.
Trouble's, I think, on the way, though. The thing that's really gross about this, we saw last game, too, we're not seeing it just yet, was Ryung actually did incorporate Thors really early into his army. And one of the things that's so great is because he's double upgrading, because he's getting those armor upgrades as well, it doesn't matter what Rogue has. Lings, Hydras, Roaches, Ravagers, Thors can take those hits. Thors have an absurdly, naturally large army or armor. You put upgrades on top of that, nothing touches them.
Yeah. We have serious Viking hit squads. He's going to have enough if he saves all of them.
Okay, he's killed what's going to assume to be 3 Overseers and 3 Overlords so far.
Yeah.
Again, stripping vision from Rogue, so you've got this slow-moving mech army that just won't be caught if it's never seen coming.
Right, and it's also going to be, I think, as the Vikings survive all of this harassment, they're going to be able to snipe Vipers later on. But Rogue not getting as quick to a Hive this game as the last one. He takes time to actually get to Swarm Host.
I wasn't sure if he's going to dive on the Hydras there or not. Again, like, these could really eradicate Hydras if used correctly. Some of you guys may have seen Nathanius' way of playing mech, and I'm not going to pretend like it's the best out there, but it's pretty damn good. And one of the things he's done, too, is, like, I loved watching his Blue Flame Hellions with a Raven. The point defense drone was just laughable watching the Hydras die, but regardless, point is, Blue Flame Hellions would melt those Hydras. Not the Swarmos, but the Locusts. So a bit of a problem here is this main is about to get under attack, and if he loses a lot of tech labs and reactors, he's going to have a hard time producing as a mech player.
Oh, they're distracted by a single supply depot, so maybe one of the factories will go down. That's still going to be annoying to deal with. But Ryung, he had the Hellbat drop. It is cleaned up, but he has a push, more importantly, going to the middle of the map. Once again, getting up against a ledge before Rogue can respond.
For him, this is so good. He knows the Locusts are on cooldown. There's not going to be a wave of them waiting back at home. He knows there's a good 20 or 40 army supply wasted now. So this push timing is pretty damn good.
Yeah, it is. This is quite worrying. Ryung is on 4 bases. None of his production went down to the Locust, actually. They couldn't take out a factory.
Look at the way he's controlling these Hellbats, by the way. I'm sorry. He could have just gone in for the Hydralisk. He kept them back knowing he needs them for the Locust. Here we go, soaking the hits. Dealing with most of them, but the tanks, are they going to win out?
Looks like
no fodder in front of them, but...
No, there wasn't, but there's still depth to them. Tanks falling back on the ledge. Exactly, and Hellen's going to be able to instantly reinforce. He's building more production. He only had the 5 factories on 4 bases, but now he's building more. And the Vikings in an emergency could have also landed. Or down to the Hydras. There's actually no Vipers to snipe. There's still no Hive, so these Vikings just going to start killing Overlords.
Yeah, actually, it's kind of interesting. The style that Ryung plays, I'm wondering if it might be better for Rogue to skip Swarm Hosts, as conventionally good as they are, and just go straight to Vipers.
Well, he tried that last game. It didn't work, but again, I think it's because he just didn't, like, stall out the push. But maybe he thought that's why, like, it didn't work. It was because I went too fast to Vipers and Ultras. Let's try the Swarm Host thing, but this also does not work. He is definitely having some troubles in this game. It's not over yet.
Mother of God.
Because he is
the
on
Hellions are racking up the kills.
5 bases. Yeah, drones go down on the 3rd base. Lings having trouble responding. 10 drones go down. But Rogue is still on 5 bases, 75 drones. He just actually needs to push this back. And Ryung probably really wisely withdraws, realizing there's just not enough fodder to protect these tanks. And honestly, like, if there is no Hive, you still see no Vipers. I don't know if he scanned the Hive recently. But there's still no Vipers. Then there's not really a reason to continue, like, to push like this. Regroup, build up that army supply again, grab your gold base with a planetary, and push again when it's maxed out. Maybe still, while Rogue does not have Vipers.
Oh, it's so sad watching this come in, too. He's just like, well, nothing much to be done about this. Tries to intercept it. The armor upgrades here are actually really important against Locusts because they are such a fast attacking units. So that 3-3 finishing up the next wave of Locusts will be really, really helpful.
You can see that despite Ryung having a very fast 4th base, Rogue was able to capitalize on Zerga's best economy and has been winning out in the income war for a lot of the time, now taking his own gold. So he was able to barely hold against that push. He still is stalled out on Lair Tech, however, and the Swarm hosts have not been too useful. Useful enough, but just like not exactly super overpowered. And Ryung is back up to his way to a maxed out army with this time 3-3.
I'm a little sad he didn't incorporate Thors again to his army, by the way.
Well.
A couple of the really cool benefits they would provide in this game. Not to say he's doing anything bad. Here we go with the Thors finally now, but like their high armor value with these many upgrades, like the Locust would have those on the front line. Let the Locust wail away at the Thors. They're not going to care.
Ooh, Locusts find a lot of tanks that are just not protected.
Ooh, good. No, not so good.
Yeah. It was like 3-4 tanks, and a lot of them very, very injured. Definitely a mistake there from Ryung. He deals with the Lings, though.
Well, I was also going to mention, luckily it's not too hard for him to remax. I think most of the times we're seeing these sort of tank pickoffs, the Terran players at like 150 supply or less, and it's really hard for them to actually get production going. But Ryung's maxed, and he's got so many factories too, by the way, which is something I definitely think we lack a lot when we see mech players play. There's 8 factories right now, and they're spread out. So there's no one Locust attack wave that's going to kill all the production and end the game.
Yeah. Lings do manage to grab a 5th, though. Kill, not cancel.
I'm pretty sure it's the friendly fire from the tanks.
Yeah, either one. But he's going to grab both bases without cancels.
Oh, Jesus.
It's 800 minerals.
Yeah, I mean, Ryung's doing well, but he can't be giving away freebies like that.
Yeah. Definitely a mistake. He was getting very, I think, definitely overconfident. There is a potential that Rogue just kind of like, you know, tunnels on this main army engagement, but Rogue's not. He is managing to find run-bys that are doing enough damage. We do have Ryung pushing forward with a maxing out mech army as he rallies forward. He has the full upgrades. He has Vikings to tear down any potential Vipers, but again, no Hive. Right? Yeah, still no Hive. Like, he's got the Devastation, but he's got the double Spire, but he's not with any potential to use the Spire. Like, and I'm wondering actually what he is going for that for, because he's getting double upgrades. I don't know, it feels like a bit of a waste of investment. Maybe he was thinking that I was going to go into a late game like Sky Terran. Maybe he thought he does have the Hive and is confused. I have no idea, but right now it's more about the lair-based army. A lot of Banelings, like 60 Banelings were just made. Is that really the way to go?
You know, I'm kind of, but Rogue was that guy who was making like maxed out amounts of like 50 Banelings every 3 seconds, right? Like
it was against like Joxi or someone, like not like a super fantastic Terran.
I want to say Cure, but I could be wrong on that.
You know,
I only bring this up because Rogue and Cure did play a pretty cool series, and I don't know if that was one of the games in it or not.
It might have been Cure in one of the weaker performances, his online cups, and it was on Proxima. I remember that much too. Like it was just, but hey, I don't know. Oh well, it doesn't matter. The point is the Banelings did work out once, but I also feel like that was because the player was not getting enough tanks. This is like majority tanks.
Yeah, look at these Banelings trying to roll through. I mean, they do great splash damage. It's kind of clearing this out, but there's just so much armored, chunky units remaining. 4 Thors at a time being produced. Ryung took a big hit there. There's no mistaking that. But he's actually not struggling to replace that like I think most Terrans in this scenario normally do.
Yeah.
And in fact, what's more, like really reassuring for the Terran fans, he's actually producing 8 Hellions at a time. I think we see these Thor remaxes, you're like, oh, no problem, but then the Locusts come in and kill them. But with the Hellions getting their back, this shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah. Quick check on the minerals. Ryung at 72 SCVs definitely needs these newer bases to transfer to, though he is starting to really take control of that economy. Locusts are coming through here, and there's no Hellbats really on the front lines. They're trying to respond, but the tanks quickly go down. Not quite a Thor.
I do like the medevacs coming out now too, by the way. Even though there are going to be Hydralisks, you can shuffle those Thors around quite a bit, bait some early lands with a Locust too. Like, there's a lot of cool things that these medevacs will allow you to do. But Rogue going for a lot of Banelings again. I can't say I'm super keen on this move, but if the logic here is that the Banelings could, despite the sacrifice, remove the Hellbats, then the Locust can clean up the rest.
Yeah. I think that's the ideal situation, but is it ever really going to work out that way consistently enough? Baneling's very expensive, and Rogue is losing out in the resources lost.
It just occurred to me that was a sensor tower this deep in the map.
Yep.
You know, the other thing, too, I guess, we don't see anyone go this many Thors, right? But if you have enough Thors with maxed out upgrades, they can pick off the Locust in the air. They got the bonus damage after all.
I was wondering if Ryung had any of his building upgrades. He does not, only at 331. Obviously, Rogue stalled out on his upgrades because of that lack of Hive. Now getting the Hive, probably going to go more so for Vipers. Takes out the Planetary. There was still a very healthy gold base because there was only ever like 6 SCVs mining at a time there. Not too shabby. Probably going to lift one of these orbitals, though, and just take it again. Why not? Cool idea there, trying to grab the Locusts before they land. Kind of works out. Defends that base. Has another one that is seen by Rogue, and he's going to try and stall it out with the creep spread.
Ooh, those Hydras didn't stand a chance. Neither will these Lings. Oh, don't funnel in like this to Blue Flame Hellions!
Oh,
you're going to have a bad time.
That was not the best response Rogue has ever had. A lot of Lings went down.
Unfortunately, this was all of the fodder for the front line, so Ryung, recognizing this, just pushes forward a little bit with these Thors. Says, please, Banelings, waste yourself on these Thors. These things have stupidly strong armor.
The Locusts
Huge
also
value to this.
Are eventually going to waste themselves on this attempted attack. A lot of them go down before landing. Finally, they land. Are they going to grab? They actually, if the friendly flyer too, they do manage to grab 2 tanks, weaken other ones.
Friendly fire's a real son of a... Yeah,
it is, but that's still overall, like, this army is right up against you. You don't have all those Lings. You just lost them. You just lost 22 drones, and now you don't have Locusts on the Swarm host, so your army supply isn't really truly 116. Ryung is dangerously close to being able to take out this gold base, but he still hasn't taken his own, so it might be an okay trade if Rogue just gives this up. Obviously, he does not want to do that. Actually, I don't think it's an okay trade. Ryung's still the one with a bigger bank, still having the maxed out army. Rogue's the one struggling. Oh, the high ground, the depth of the tanks, these Banelings trying their best to roll in. Blinding Clouds go down, though, and some of them are very good. But more tanks, more Thors, and no fodder for these Hydras. What are you doing over here, Thors? Well, they apparently weren't needed on the front line. They might just be able to take out this base.
Splitting Rogue's units like this actually ends up being beneficial to Ryung, too, but... I think he's just hoping to consolidate for a push. I do almost wish, by the way, with the amount of bases he has, he'd pull some SCVs and just repair these units on the front line. Again, that armor point value makes these things so hard to kill. A little bit of repair goes a long way.
You know, Rogue just really isn't mining very much. With this gold base now being depleted, this is his only saturated base, and this one still isn't getting the drones over there. Only just now. 46 drones, not that great, and Ryung was able to secure this base. Ryung just having everything going his way. Economy, army, upgrades, tech. He's gonna win this game.
Well, this may have gotten a little too out of hand. I don't know that Rogue is gonna be so pleased. I mean, it's to go hypothetically here, right? It's not over yet. 2-0 against Rogue. This is a huge deal for Ryung. Not a doubt, and especially because, you know, as we built up that prowess just off of a championship. Not some random win in the Olimoleague anymore. You're defeating the recent IEM champion.
Yeah. Maybe Rogue never having to face Gumiho because of Ayasunu. Maybe that was the secret to his IEM Shanghai victory. He doesn't have to face Mech.
What the heck? The two things that blew me away about that was, A, nobody was calling him IA, which I always thought was so annoying in broadcasts. And then secondly, the fact that he took out both Gumiho and stats, like, what the front door happened at IEM Shanghai?
Something weird, man. Something was in the air, but yeah, Rogue didn't have to deal with mech,
pollution.
I guess. Yeah, literally pollution just killed Gumiho's mech game. Games in general, actually. A lot of these units are weak, but Rogue at 130 overall supply, I don't know if he's able to execute any of these. He hasn't taken down the economy in a long time, too. Both bases up and running, and the gold now actually going to be a new base, not even the transferred orbital. Ryung is taking his sweet time finalizing this game, but he's quite scared of how Locust can perform by a burst through the Blinding Clouds, too. Obviously not enough, as the supply continues to favor Ryung heavily.
Yeah, it's so hard to break him when he's just got like this much well upgraded units.
Yeah.
Like a good 10,000 behind at the resources lost. Rogue loses a very important base.
Yeah.
To Blue Flame Hellions of the sickest run by you've ever seen.
Enough of them will kill
so hot
anything.
right now.
Literally. Rogue with the one last hurrah moves everything into that mech army.
Yeah, but the Blue Flame cleans up most of the problems. GG. Ryung takes the game. Now leading 2-0 in the series.
I don't know, man. Rogue just not looking very strong against mech. There was the... I mean, kudos to his defense when those tanks were right up against him at like minute 11 or 12 or whatever it was. Because that game went on like for a long time after that. But, you know, that super long time to get to the hive, just... not really making Swarmos look as overpowered and really getting into that production or the economy. It wasn't like a stomp for 24 minutes. Obviously, the last 6 made it look like a stomp, but just Ryung able to really show how good he is with mech, I guess.
Good to see, too.
Yeah. The lobby is actually already up. It's going to be Defender's Landing. You in there. So many hiccups to the stream. Finally, yes, moving along swiftly. Back to the usual.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm inclined to say I'm sorry about that because I am Canadian, but it's like frustrating because it wasn't something I was doing. Everything was fine. I don't know why. Why?
Alright, the game is going to start. Okay, potentially last game here. It is 2-0 in favor of Ryung. Defender's Landing, a smaller map, but still one we see mech often enough on. I'm not really ruling that out yet.
Yeah, actually, this, as much as I want to say mech, I'm afraid this map may almost bait Rogue into trying to do something too aggressive. Like a Ravager all in and just utterly fail for it. I don't know. That's getting way ahead of ourselves. But getting into game, up 2-0, rocking the score right now here in the semis. We got the top right. He's blue. It is Ryung.
In the bottom left, as the red Zerg, he is Jennair's Rogue. Now, both of these guys have already made some cash for getting to the round of 4 in the finals. $50 to each of them. But of course, the higher you go, the more money you make. $500 total. And it's all thanks to you guys. Wow. If you go to patreon.com/Olimoleague, you can continue being part of the awesomeness that is Olimoleague for the last 3 years, as well as look at some of the perks that are available if you're actually interested in the rewards.
Damn it, I was trying to set you up for that. I was going to be like, wow, Zombie Grub, and where did all that money come from? It's actually super sick that this, like, we've got our sponsor logos on the stream, guys. Don't get confused. This is not sponsored by either Corsair or Twitch. But, like, this has been an unsponsored tournament put on by you, the fans. And, well, Olimoleague maybe or excuse me, Olimoleague, that's confused. Maybe the driving force behind the league. Really, without the fans, this would never happen. Without people saying and asking, hey, I want to see more Korean StarCraft. Here's some bucks, make it happen. This wouldn't be going on in the first place, much less going on for 3+ years. So it is amazing that this has been such a consistent effort out of the community. So yeah. Super shout-outs to Olimoleague for her dedication. Super shout-outs to all the fans on Patreon who make this happen. It's really cool and really free to be able to do this. And I don't mean in terms of money, but in terms of restrictions. There's no, like, there's nobody choking the players to play a certain way. There's nobody coming down on Olivia to change brackets or represent sponsors. It's all you guys. And some of the cool rewards you get from this, while Riffin continues to talk in the early game, are things just like replay packs or just like getting your games cast. Like it's the most chill, awesome partnership I guess you could have with fans. That it is.
3 years running. Started off at a time when there was really no Korean leagues happening. Now there's so many, but Olimoleague still stands strong. Now, here's something important to note in this game. You brought it up kind of at the beginning, like maybe this map will kind of give aggressive ideas to Rogue trying to end the game early. It might work, you know. They don't get too hesitant to call it 3-0, but Ryung he's really trying hard to scout if it is something like this.
I think very strongly he picked this map because of his decision to try and do something like this. And what I feel really bad about is, like, I am a bad caster, horrible player, and if I saw this coming from a mile away, you bet your ass Ryung did too. Or he should at least. I'm a little bit worried with these Hellions, of course.
Yeah. Well, he would have loved to have seen something with that SCV, but honestly, it might have been a bit of a mistake. You know, he tried to dip in, see the roaches coming, but it was mistimed, and he didn't bother seeing the third base. I think if he's still at the third base with that SCV, this has not been looked at for Rogue. He'd be like counting the seconds, like, okay, this is suspicious, let's make Cyclones now. But without any scout whatsoever, he's going to make Hellions. This could be very, very bad. He will have a Banshee, but it's going to be damage done before she pops out.
I think, yeah, when you're not going the tech path of the Banshee, your only hope is to have a bunker up. So at first this looks very harrowing, but the fact that he just killed a Ravager with Hellions takes away so much power from this attack.
Oh, he's barely saving that supply depot as well. I was going to mention that, you know, Rogue isn't actually giving himself a lot of potential to snowball if he doesn't break through these supply depots. Finally doing so now, but that bought a lot of time for the Banshee to come out. Ryung surprisingly not even trying to squeeze in a Cyclone. Didn't have the gas for it, I suppose.
He knows the Banshee will do it. He knows the Banshee's got this.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, there are only 4 units left over here. They're gonna grab Cloak, sure.
Well, I think it's funny is like we've just been watching so many other players like cancel Cloak, like Cure, right? So you're like, huh, did he really get Cloak? It's more that he just stops Banshee production, I guess, is how I look at it.
All right. So what is this boil down to? 10 SCVs maybe? No. Yeah, 10 SCVs. So he's down 17. That's still okay, and it took a while to clean up. If he had any prior knowledge and had instantly built a Cyclone, that's probably half the SCVs lost. But some other key things that I guess didn't happen. He didn't actually manage to get the reactor, which is usually a given with this push. Oh, and it's going to be bio. What can Ryung do in return? This is also where Cyclones can be helpful. They can try and counter because there's no speedlings, but now it's just the Banshee.
I mean, it's really unfortunate the Banshees don't have Cloak, because this would obviously extend their stay significantly, but I think with 2 Banshees and good micro, he's going to be able to still get a lot done here.
Yeah, it is 2 Banshees. 1 Queen, 1 Spore Crawler, 3 Queens, no Spore Crawler. Queens. Fine, and the Banshees should not take much damage.
Queens is pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you know where they're coming from, you should be able to respond, even with a lack of creep spread. And there's no fear they'll catch you, like, in transition, because there's no Cloak. Third base is probably going to be a better place to send those Banshees. We know that. Ryung, not so much. That would have been nice and juicy. Oh, well. He is going into bio, so the follow-up is going to be a little more immediate. Stim is already almost like 90% done, and the medevacs are about to be produced. Just waiting on the minerals.
I'm actually a little surprised that this is still working for Rogue. I expected this to be shut down so easily out of Ryung that this wouldn't be problems, but the fact is, like, he's not got many workers to work with in comparison. The Banshees didn't get any kills the way I thought they would.
No, they didn't. It's really too bad. The third base is going to be open territory. And even Rogue realizing, like, oh, they're heading to the right. I'm a little scared now. But he has Valeria's Overseer, now his Banshee. The Banshee's going to be taken care of by the Queens. As long as they, well, they actually don't need an Overseer. There's no Cloak. So as long as they're in position. Rogue managed to get 65 drones, so he should not be caught without an army. He should just be reducing army. Grabs the macro hatchery.
That's part of what I think is so impressive about this. He got to 65 drones, but it wasn't for a lack of army supply. He's not sitting there with 0 Zerglings, 0 Queens, right? Like, he's actually got a decent looking everything.
Ryung is setting up for what can possibly be a good 2-base push with tanks on Defender's Landing, very fast reinforcement. But because Rogue so easily got to his drone count, and she goes down, and is now so easily getting this max Roach army, it's going to be difficult for Ryung to get into a good position in the first place. And even if he does, it might not be enough units. He was significantly cut by losing 10 workers so early on. Even though he dealt with it about as calmly as possible, no overreaction, it still was not the best reaction.
Well, it's interesting to see Bio. I'm just kind of sitting here mulling it over because I'm like, you really like your mech, bro. When you have to change? You changed, man. But the thing is, tanks are in a pretty good position. They are going to get picked off by the Ravagers at a cost.
This is not going to work out whatsoever. Ryung is in a ton of trouble. Banshee can't really help out with the queens in the front lines, and these reinforcements are just not very scary. Rogue doubling the army supply, and sure, that's in Roaches and Ravagers, but Ryung cannot find a good choke to take advantage of the compositions that he has. And now he's only at 1 tank, so it's not scary.
Yeah, actually, that push, I guess that didn't really occur to me just how bad the tank production was going to be on 1 factory, right? So losing any of those was going to be kind of rough, but losing this many, like,
Yeah, Ryung is definitely in trouble.
The thing is, though, I think with Rogue playing this composition, he's gone for the choice of, like, Tunneling Claws, for example, not Fungal Growths. So he doesn't have, like, the ultimate lock-it-down composition. And Ryung's actually, as we see here, mowing through the Ravagers as a consequence.
He has, like, a surprisingly good trade here, but Rogue is going to a 4th base and 64 drones, drones, while Ryung is only on 2 bases and running out of minerals in his main soon enough. So it's got to be more than just a decent trade for Ryung, but that was a good start.
Yeah, I'm actually still feeling pretty good for his chances, although, again, not to oversell him, he's definitely behind. But this is when the games get really cool, right? When Terran players make these epic comebacks, and you're like, damn.
Sure, yeah. I think Rogue is going to realize maybe pushing into that army was unideal. Because his choices right now could be either, like, you know, try and take an engagement, win right off the bat, or just continue defending, focusing on his macro. He knows the 3rd base wasn't put down, so he is the one that time's going to benefit.
He lost so many Ravagers in the attack, too. Like, I guess we're focused on the tanks having died. It's kind of the same problem, right? Except for the Zerg side of it. Those are your long range, those are your siege units, those are the units that are going to take out your opponent's siege units. Like, it's very important that he's finally getting infestors out, because fungal growth will make all the world of difference of that bio getting to focus everything down versus being forced to run away. Or just die, even.
Sneaky Burrow is going to interrupt Ryung's very important rally. He's got to just be sending as many units as possible across the map, although he actually decides to pick up everything he had and go for the main base. It was scouted by Rogue. Instant response. That is not going to be the way back into this game, although it would have been. If he was able to grab the main with that ramp, that would have been devastating for Rogue.
No, let's go for that push. It's scary, but there are tanks and a choke that favors the Terran player in this particular scenario.
That it does. This is exactly what he's wanted since the beginning when he first decided to push, is using this choke against the Roaches and Ravagers. He's got to be careful with clumps like that, though. Oh, lords. Instant.
Oh, the Medivacs.
Instant death.
That's game. There's no, yeah, that has to be game. GG.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah, if that had got just the bio, you could argue that he could use the Medivacs to retreat and still play that out. But the fact that they got every single Medivac, and worse yet, they were clumped, so it only took like one set of corrosive biles. Jesus.
Yeah, that was bad.
That's nasty.
I mean, he was already gonna have a tough time, but that was just absolutely terrible. But it's been quite a while since we played our last break, so we're gonna go into a quick 2-minute break while they set up the next map. Game number 4 coming up soon. Welcome back. Thanks for watching those ads. We are into game number 4. It is still a best of 5 in favor of this guy in the bottom right. It's the blue Terran, Ryung.
Yeah, he leads 2-1. But of course, his opponent on the opposite side of the map going to be the red Zerg player, Rogue. Rouge. Gear.
Spelled 2 different ways.
So, by the way, I mentioned this in chat, but just to mention it here on stream too. If you guys feel like being esports heroes today, there's 2 things you can do if you got a couple of bucks lying around. Number 1 is check out the Olimoleague Patreon, because again, it's the tournament of the hour, and without it, we wouldn't have this awesome event. But the second, of course, is our mega tournament fundraiser we have going on in the background of everything. I don't know when we're going to actually draw this to a conclusion, because it does seem more and more likely that we're not going to be actually hosting the event at the end of this year like we had hoped, but more likely early next year type thing. But we're at $11,000 raised now, which is sick. We got another $500 for a show match, thanks to Maturino as well, to help raise more funds. But this is pretty dope. You know, we set a 30,000 goal, and we knew it was ambitious, but we're a third of the way there, about halfway through the year. So I'm not sure we'll hit that mark, but damn, this is a lot of money to make a really cool StarCraft event with.
That it is, and the last push for Maturinos and fundraisers rather in general are usually the best times. So pretty excited for that to finally come to a head whenever it does.
Yeah, we need to actually find a an end date and declare it, I guess.
Yeah.
We've just left it open for so long.
Yeah. I guess scheduling needs to be done all over the place.
Oh yeah, speaking of which, I for the most part have our rough draft of the schedule set now, but it's like I still gotta find place for Ting, which has been not easy.
I imagine. Are we doing anything these upcoming days, I guess, for the viewers?
No, we got like the week off.
Oh, okay.
Ish.
I don't mind it. It's my last week in Korea. So.
Oh, we got the one thing though before you leave.
I got you. I got you. I know. Yeah. I'm with you there.
The one really cool, super secret thing that you guys don't know about, but you're gonna love it when you do.
Yes, exactly. Trust us, guys. But yeah, okay. So that aside, all right, then that's cool. So you guys will know. That means I'm also gonna be able to stream a lot of Brood War Remastered. Pretty excited about that's coming out. Actually, like even though I have it, I can play it in my apartment. Like I kind of want to go to a PC bong and do it.
I was gonna say you should take advantage of that because you know there's gonna be tons of other people there. Although that may be the problem, and if there's a line, then it's not worth doing. But yo, my favorite thing about the Brood War Remastered so far is the part where it asks you to update the game and then it just doesn't open again.
Oh yeah, it's totally borked. Luckily,
I know there's a fix, but I don't care to do it.
Well, I was lucky enough to have one of the guys tweet at me, like one of the developers actually tweet at me, like as soon as I posted like I had it. So I was on top of it pretty soon, but I know how frustrating that is as someone who for years actually had to go through the process of installing and downloading all the Brood War assets that existed before. They're giving you the real IC Cup experience, okay? That's actually what you guys don't even know what's happening. They do this intentionally.
They wanted to keep the theme of like the bad controls and stuff too, to keep it authentic, and like this just goes hand in hand with that, right? Like
exactly. It's the barrier to entry that is more than just the game itself, but also just actually installing the damn thing. I like it. I like that theory. Anyways, StarCraft 2, I do have a Hellion Banshee opener, although once again, is it really the Banshee with the cloak? Because the Overlord is right there, seeing everything. When is it going to move? Shoo, Overlord. Oh, just kidding, comes back. Oh. Really wants to see if it's going to be canceled. Like, this is this important point of the game. Is this canceled? Is this real? It questions everywhere. It is canceled, but is the sim real? Are, you know, our eyes real, our lives real, all that. Hellion's cleaned up, no problem over there, and the Reaper is, barely going to survive after scouting in the main base. So it saw the... the Roach Warren's at the front. So the Hellion saw the Roach Warren. Overlord is pushed away, but it's still alive. It is going to be Bio.
I really am curious what his dedication for this is, or what the decision is to say, like, okay, this is worth going Bio on, because you can't argue that it's map dependent. Abyssal Reef's a great map for mech. The other ones he played mech on, maybe not even you could argue would be good for mech. So I really don't know what his thought process is for playing mech, but it's an interesting one.
Yeah, maybe he just really wants to be a wild card, like flipping between builds and styles.
You know, Ryung is actually pretty good friends with a lot of the other pro gamers, right? Maybe he's good friends with Rogue, and he's like, that's kind of a dick move if I were to just 3-0 him, and he's my friend, so I don't want to match fix or nothing, but maybe I'll just play Bio for these next couple of games.
Yeah, something like that. Well, the Banshee is pushed off. Haven't gotten to the subs recently, so it was a little bit of a lull. Crypto Compare, thank you for the 4-month resub. BitWrench for the 34-month resub. Indapond for the Twitch Prime sub. New sub. Hey. And Bacon Hero. The 713 sub. If only Reapers could split into 2 more Reapers when they died. And then 2 more Reapers, and then 2 more Reapers.
Oh man, that'd be like Zagira's Banelings in co-op.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking of. Have you played the new co-op, by the way?
I tried once. 1 game of it. And it was going pretty well, and then my partner left for reasons I don't know, and I got mad about that and stopped playing. It's the Killbot one, right?
It is the Killbot one. So my partner didn't leave, but I had one guy that just obviously had no idea what he was doing. I hate that too, because it always happens when I play Carrix. I'm like, I'm going to depend on my partner even the tiniest little bit so I can set up my Sim City, and then they just don't know what they're doing, and I'm so unlucky. Like, literally, like, double forge, no gateway type, don't know what they're doing.
I was gonna say, this one's particularly easy if you play Stukov, which is my jam, right? Like,
I kind of went hard mode because I have no heroes that are about massing a lot of units. So,
oh yeah, you saw like Nova and stuff. That's where you just start building SCVs to sacrifice.
That's exactly what I did. I figured that part out pretty early, and honestly, mines are always useful. So I just threw mines everywhere, and that took care of anything that my partner couldn't. So it did end up being easy once you found the groove, but man, it can snowball for sure.
Did you beat it yet?
Yeah, I beat it with Nova.
So, like I said, I didn't get a chance to beat it. One thing that tilted me was I wasn't paying attention to my natural, and the Killbot came in. It silenced all the SCVs, so they wouldn't mind.
I had the weirdest...
oh, this is so cool.
Oh, that's funny. I had the weirdest experience with the Killbot sometimes. They would just stall out before they were near anything that would be hurtful. Like, they'd be, like, yards away from my command center, but just staying there, not touching it. And I'd be like, okay, just stay there then. I'm not gonna bother with you. Anyways, co-op aside, we did have the drop, try and clear up as much creep as possible. Did a decent job. Got the queen that went back to replace it, but obviously still live creep tumors. 3rd base versus 4th base. Macro going along swimmingly on Abyssal Reef, because it's a water map.
Swimmingly. You get it? It's a joke.
Yeah. And infestors are now on the way.
Well, actually, the infestors would be a big problem here. Even though it's not going to be the Roach Ravager composition that we've seen before, just holding anything in place for the Banelings to roll in could just be equally devastating.
Mm-hmm. It is... Yeah, Ling Baneling with the... So, it's kind of an old way to play. You know, not with Hydra, it's not with Mutas, but just the Ling Baneling Infestor. And Roachborn was put down, but not really committed to, so only a handful. A bit more than a handful, but 9 Roaches, 7 Ravagers. A lot more Banelings. Ryung going for double factory tank production, so we'll be ramping that up very soon, along with his 2-2. That's probably going to be the push to determine how this game really goes. Pushing before the Ultralisk Cavern is done, before Chitinous Plating is done, is a key thing about TvZ, if they're going to play that fast hive style. Fortunately, that also means keeping all units alive until that one final push, so losing it because drops go badly, not ideal for Ryung. So throws on a 4th command center though, so maybe looking to play to that late game, not looking to try and end it before the Ultras pop out. If that is the case, he's going to want to get bigger and better units to deal with the Ultras, usually Liberators, not just a lot of tanks. And more Marauders.
Yeah, Marauder is probably more important than anything else, especially with the way he plays Bio too. But the thing is, like, all these tanks, there's heavy pros and cons here, right? Tanks are good against the late game units a little bit better, sure. Tanks can sometimes be a little bit more effective than Widowmines, sure. But the problem is, like, they're not going to guarantee remove the, I guess, masses like Widowmines might. So I don't know. Like, I'm not entirely sold on playing tanks, but I do like them better for the late game here now that he's reached it.
Well, Ryung is not really pushing forward. Tanks sieging up on the high ground, look like they're just taking a position. And if he doesn't push literally right now, the Ultras will have their plating in time to defend. So it looks like he's going to have to go
back on the right
back.
side trying to set up too.
Yeah, a lot of Lings here. Catches quite a few Banelings trying to roll in, catch him by surprise. No Fungals. That was a little lopsided by Rogue.
Are those Banelings? I couldn't tell with the skin.
Oh, I see what you're doing.
No, I actually understand the programmer complaints. I'm just mocking it. So the doors bust open, the Lings run in, the SCVs are pulled. not that big of an attack at the end of the day.
No, that was very easily responded to. With the response, he loses this drop over to the left side, but that was better to keep his SCVs alive. A lot more production on the way. Should be adding tech labs to all of these barracks. He definitely does not have a very powerful anti-ultra force, especially if it moves out to engage. But since he's playing defensive and Rogue isn't really looking for that killing blow, he's still okay, I think, with these tanks, now Liberators. He'll be able to build up the Marauder count to buffer, to add into this better anti-ultra composition. But we also have a Spire on the way for Rogue, so he is recognizing the need to take care of Liberators eventually. And, of course, the Greater Spire can be something along the lines, too, in the next couple minutes.
I'm not feeling so good for Ryung right now.
Yeah.
Although he has yet to use his main army, right? Liberators and tanks. It's just everything about what he's been doing so far has been really ineffective.
He's been playing, he was so long in pure Marine tank that I was worried he was going to be overwhelmed. But because he was playing so defensive and Rogue is playing very not aggressive, it doesn't end up really mattering. It just Ryung's able to get to the anti-ultras. That was, for 2 minutes here, very scary for his composition. Now he's got Marauders and Liberators.
Can one truly play defensive if someone else is playing not aggressive?
Yeah, I think so. Because you don't have to be, taking engagements, but you can be roaming around the map and doing run-bys, which is what Rogue's been doing.
Okay, yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah. Don't try and call me out.
No, I wasn't calling you out. It's
it's
a funny concept, right?
Yeah.
It's the opposite of the unstoppable force versus the immovable object.
Yeah. Well, okay, so the one thing that truly weirds me out, again, continuing along those, the path of explanation there, is that Rogue is, running around the map, sure, and that's all well and good, but the one place that you usually see the engagement going down is these rocks. They're broken down, and the army swoops in, takes care of all these tanks from behind, and that's good for Rogue, and he's never bothered to break them down. It's such a weird thing to see on Abyssal Reef. That's, the first thing taken down after minute 9 or 10.
Just trying to shoot through the wall. Dude, lose a lot of health in the process.
Yeah, you do. It's so tempting to just stand there with so many Marauders against the choked-in Ultra, but then they start actually killing your units, and you're like, oh, okay, I actually have to micro. Just kidding. But he does end up microing. He takes care of the army off to the right side as well. Most of the Ravagers of the Ultras ran back home. I thought they were responding to something, but they aren't. They just went back crying to mama, I guess, to the queens.
Maybe they saw a mouse.
Ah.
Yeah, elephants are actually scared of mice. Ultras could be too.
Wouldn't you be scared if you just, you had the possibility of stepping on something so tiny and killing it instantly?
Dude, it's not even would you? I hate spiders. Are you kidding me? I'm scared the crap out of spiders. There's no comparison necessary.
No, that's not where I was going with that. But I mean, more if you were just, if there was, a tiny little kitten, okay, just, on the floor, kind of, making its way around, wouldn't you be, super scared of accidentally stepping on it?
No, I would just roll over to it and cuddle it. I would just be like, "Oh, you're so cute."
But what if you didn't have the option?
I take care of it and grow up to a big cat. And
because you were an elephant, you didn't have the option to do that.
Excuse you? The fuck did you just call me?
A hypothetical elephant.
The hypothetical part was missing, Zombie Grub.
I said if you were an elephant. If. It's a hypothetical. Anyway. We now have ghosts in the mix. Ryung...
I'm really sensitive about my weight, okay?
Oh my god.
And you just keep rubbing it in. First, no camera, then I'm an elephant. Where does it end with you?
Oh my god. I'm sorry.
No bully.
This game, it took so long for Ryung to get to what is, this now really super baller late game.
Oh!
Ghosts, Liberators, tanks, Marauders, but he's gotten here.
Cameraman, camerawoman, can we get a zoom in on the ghost? Because this is the ghost skin from the war chest, by the way, which I have not seen yet. Because nobody makes ghosts.
They got the booty.
Actually, they got really cool looking guns and shoulder pads.
Yeah.
And wrist guards. They actually just look badass. This is what ghosts should always look like.
Not the female
Run-by's on the right, by the way. The Ultras open the door, but this is still Bling's getting in here.
Yeah. Some decent SCV damage going down. Obviously, Ryung on now 5 bases, or close to 5 bases, isn't too upset about that. But while Ryung has gotten to his final composition, basically, just continuing on with upgrades, Rogue also did. I was really more concerned about like Ryung for so much more of this game. But going back to Rogue's side of things, he does have a lot of bases. He has a really good economy. Sure, his ultras didn't end the game when they had Chitinous playing against like nothing but Marines and tanks, but he's bought time to get to his own Broodlords, and now we really are going to see the fight that is like super late game versus super late game. Who has the better chance when that comes down to it? Usually, the defender is going to have the better chance of taking the fight. So it's kind of like who decides to move out first.
Actually, what's funny is normally you'd gauge the game looking at the production tab of a player, and if they're not doing anything for as long as Rogue has been, you're like, what a bad player. But Rogue's actually able to keep this production tab mostly clear this whole game because he's been so good.
Look at the income graph. Mentioned that Rogue has had a really good economy, but it's just like dominating for the last 10 minutes.
I believe Ryung is supposed to be on here somewhere. Is this a mistake?
Nope. And that is like, Ryung obviously he gets to max out, but it took a sweet time doing so with all these run buys. Rogue gets maxed out and has almost 8,000 mineral bank, 7,000 mineral bank now, 2,000 gas bank. He has not been touched, you know, drop-wise since minute 10. A single Liberator tried its hardest.
I really don't know who this favors in this situation, to be honest with you. I mean, excuse me. Obviously, it's Rogue in a big way because of his bank, but the thing is, Ghosts are just so powerful that those Broodlords, those Corruptors, those Ultralisks are honestly not that scary, and Ryung has 15 Ghosts.
Yeah. 8 tanks to help back up, but the Broodlings are trying to take care of that problem. Oh, the Broodlings are too close. They're going to get sniped. No Fungals going down. There's the Fungal.
A little bit late, though, because most of the Broodlords are already dead.
Yeah, now he's grabbing
Ultras coming to the Liberators. There's like 4 Liberators set up on top of the Ultras. Rogue throws away.
Oh,
like 100 supply so quickly.
That really, you know, it comes down one to the whole, like, whoever's going to be the aggressor is going to have a worse time, but then it's specifically with just how well set up Ryung was. Liberators weren't in trouble for the Corruptors, so even though the Ghosts were fungal, they weren't the important anti-Ultra unit that they're supposed to be. And they lived through those Fungals, too. There weren't any Banelings colliding in there, killing 15 Ghosts, such an expensive army. They lived, and they still have a lot of energy, and they're protected by tanks and Liberators. I don't know how Rogue takes a better fight.
The Liberators are what kills me, actually, because he had 5 of them stacked up, aimed at the one spot by the tanks, and the Ultras just walked in and were insta-gibbed. Like, immediately dead.
Dear Lord, look at this. The Fungals aren't going on top of the Ghosts. The Snipes are getting off, along with the Liberator shots. Absolutely taking fantastic trades. Look at these. Look at this versus Lost.
I want to point out, by the way, Rogue has, in the last minute, gone from having like an 8k mineral bank to almost 1,000. He's remaxing on 108 Zerglings presently.
God.
I actually think this is a really smart move. I think 108 Lings are way better than Ultras at this point, because they're going to actually be able to get on top of these units.
I was thinking the same thing. Like, maybe his problem was going for too many big units, but the Lings come in. No snipes. As the Ghosts are touched, they can't do anything. Liberators can't take care of Lings that fast, and the Corruptors finally do their job cleaning up all this air.
Yeah, Ryung didn't have a bank behind this. This was actually a pretty hard loss for him. He did so good. He did so well. He did so many good moves. And he just destroyed like an 8k bank, but lost all of his Ghosts in the process. Lost all of his tanks and Liberators in the process.
He definitely overstayed his welcome. You know, he was still hovering around a base that he had already killed. If he had gone back and clumped up on the top of the ramp, he probably doesn't lose as badly in that supply. But it is back to this even kind of economy. Ryung might not have had a bank, but he does have bases. Oh, big mistake not preempting the gas geysers, though. That is one part he was low on for quite some time. Now throwing it down, has extra orbitals to try and take a base. I think he could protect an orbital as long as his army was there, which I think it can be. But obviously, as he looks to these bases, he's going to need planetaries. And that was, by the way, I think, I pointed out the scans going down on these bases. I think that was Ryung literally like, oh my god, I just reached down to 100 supply. That's usually a bad sign. How good is Rogue's economy? So those scans were like not quite the GG scans, but they were kind of like, well, am I screwed? Okay, maybe not so much.
I actually, that's funny because that is like really what it was. It was like, am I screwed scans.
Yeah, that's what we'll call him. Snipes the base to the left side. Gets out of there, too, without losing anything. Nicely done. Sensor Tower should see whatever comes over here if that is taken by Rogue.
It's so crazy, like, to think that if Rogue had spent that bank, by the way, that Larva, the Remax, not on 108 Zerglings, but instead on, like, more Ultras and Broodlords, he would so be dead right now.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the upgrades for Terran are something to note. We don't normally see this go 3, 3, 3, potentially 3, right? Like, that's usually a Zerg thing to do, but these Liberators are getting pretty well upgraded, armor included behind this.
They're going to be on perfectly even upgrades in a second. His Rogue went double Spire, so he has 2-2 on his air, too.
I honestly don't know if that... Like, we don't see this dynamic enough. Normally somebody's seriously upgrade disadvantaged.
Yeah. Well, Ryung does take this base out with an orbital, but with a soon-to-be planetary.
Oh, gotta deal with that Ling underneath it first, though.
Yeah, he'll probably want to start building missile turrets. I think that's going to be a smart idea. He's back to being the defender, hoping that Rogue overcommits in an attack, and missile turrets can help out a lot with the Corruptor count, but doesn't have them. Command center should just be lifted.
Not semifinals, by the way.
Yeah, right? There's been some long games.
Nice damage on those Corruptors, though, sends them back. Trying to force out the fight. Liberators still are set up. Let's see if the Ultras get through to survive. The Fungal hits the Ghost, though. Oh, this is bad for Ryung. This is game-endingly bad for Ryung.
You know, he had a decent number of ghosts, but not really the overpowering amount, and I think a lot of the ghosts ended up getting their snipes canceled because they were touched.
GG. What a TvZ. I haven't seen one that good in a long time.
Yeah. Super long games all over the place, but, you know, Ryung, obviously his problem is not going mech. I think we all agree with that one.
Yeah, I agree. I think game 5, if he doesn't go mech, then I blame him for his own loss.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to try and fit in a commercial as these games are so long. This could be the last game of the series, so we'll see you guys in a few minutes. Alright, so that ended up being a perfect time to take a break because Ryung actually needed to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, he apparently needed to dodong, which is poo, or pee, or whatever. Trank's ability to translate is phenomenal.
The double D isn't... well...
I love that Crank, who speaks almost fluent English, right? Like, he's like, all right, this word means like, you know, bathroom or poo or pee or something. I get it.
Yeah, that's how I explained it. But I can't imagine it was a poo because it was really quick. So we're getting into game. The last map is...
Rogue has a squatty potty and he's just really efficient at pooping.
Maybe. I don't know if you... So that's pretty fast. It's going to be Odyssey as the last map. No loser's choice. This is literally the last map in the map pool available for Olimoleague. So let's get into it.
This is such a good mech map. 2 zombie grubs. God damn, if he doesn't play mech, my heart's going to break. But I'm not talking about this guy. No mechanical units, all biological. In the top left, it's Jin Air's Rogue.
Oh. Okay.
With an earlier pool.
A very early pool. On the bottom right, as the Red Terran, he is Ryung. Does he... I don't know what he's planning with this really early pool, man. This is going to be some high-powered aggression. Both gases being taken. Shoot.
Well, one's got to be a cancel, right?
I don't know. You go roaches, don't you need both?
Oh, no, you're right. I'm dumb. I thought I was just doing an extractor trick. A little bit of extra supply.
Huh?
Okay, so this actually is kind of genius. This worked out for him already once in the series with the Roach Warren. But B, if he is expecting Ryung to play mech on a great map for mech, this is a great way to get ahead of him.
Yeah, I was also wondering if Rogue knew how likely he was to go for a command center first on this map in a game number 5, like any of those things, because Ryung does go for a command center first. And while this actually, believe it or not, means like a better thing for the pool first build that we sometimes see is the tiny bit of early aggression, because command center actually is finished by the time they get over here, it is still worse for the super committed Roach push, because it's basically just like, you know, units versus units. You know, Ryung will get maybe a Marine or 2, but then he's going to add on a reactor or something like that, and then he'll be building his factory, and the Roaches are going to be in his face. They are so early.
In his face, in his base. Playing a nice race.
Yeah. Oh, it goes for the Reaper. Okay, but still, like, it's one Reaper and then not a lot of production from a single barracks. That is the good news, though. At least the command center manages to finish. No Lings to stall that out, and that's kind of a given. Even if it wasn't a command center first. More so on the factory timing. And simply the lack of scouting. You know, there's no SCV scout.
Yeah.
The Reaper's going to be really late. It's going to see the roaches, like, as soon as it moves out type deal.
And, you know, the Reaper can't even tussle with the roaches like it used to. 5 damage on that grenade is nothing. It's a circling auto attack. It's a drone punch.
He's not even going to run into the roaches.
Oh, my God. Zombie Grub, is this how Ryung falls?
Oh, big surprise.
Is this how our Terran hero goes down?
Instant reaction at the very least. To lose a couple SCVs, but I don't think Rogue's really looking for the SCVs. There's no supply depot wall off.
Oh,
you didn't have to
my
build
God.
it yet. Oh, no.
Oh, this is devastating.
Oh, man.
All the SCVs are pulled. Not at all an underreaction. He has to get us around. It's his only chance.
Ryung knew
But
how
he's not
desperate
gonna
that
get it.
was. Like, he had an instant reaction, but it was just still such a late scouts. Dear God. Oh, oh, my... Oh, jeez.
Yeah, that's all the
Explosions.
SCVs in like 2 corrosive vials.
Oh, okay.
Au revoir, Ryung!
That was pretty good. That was... What a way to play. I wonder what he said at the end there. Just like... He was like, dick.
Help you eat your poop next time.
Yeah, something like that. Oh, that's funny. That was such a fast game, too. I don't think we can go back to an ad, so...
Well, I actually have some things to talk about, which is fine for that. But also, to note real quick, next one coming up is going to be Cure versus Myungsik.
Right.
TVP. So all the Terran are not out of this yet. And I think Cure versus Rogue. We already had this matchup happen, I want to say, 2.5 weeks ago for one of the Olimoleagues. But that being said, that would be an awesome finals if that's what it ends up being. But maybe Myungsik surprises us. But again, just to do some small advertisings of things really quick. First off, I don't know how many people tuning in and watching right now have been a fan of PUBG or not. But we actually managed to get up to 60 people between myself and Nathanius last night, which was sick. You can have up to 100 people in the game. It was a lot of fun. We're planning to do more customs throughout the week. And because GSL vs. the World's going on, we don't actually have a lot to cast this week. So I'll be doing some more PUBG on the channel. So just a public call out, if any of you guys play PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, please, it's not sub only. Just come play with us. It's a lot of fun and it's good practice because we do eventually want to move into tournaments for it.